Hi everyone, welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a delicious and easy Greek classic comfort food, Beeftekia me Patates sto Fourno, which translates to meatballs with potatoes roasted in the oven. I'm going to teach you my version, the one that I grew up with a tomato base. There is another way to make this with a lemon base, a more lemony flavor. And if you want to learn how to make that version, comment below in the comment section and I will make that recipe too and teach it to you as soon as I can. Let's go over the ingredients of the meatballs because that's what we're going to start making first, and then we'll get started. We're going to need half of an onion, half of a large onion or a whole small onion, some breadcrumbs, I have Panko breadcrumbs here, and a whole egg, a garlic clove, some milk, fresh parsley, lean ground beef. Then we have some dried oregano, crushed red pepper flakes, some salt, Parmesan cheese, which is optional. You could add it or leave it out, and then some black pepper. Now we're going to begin by making the meatballs because you could do this step a day ahead and leave it in your refrigerator so that way all the flavors can come together and marry. Or you can make this, shape the meatballs and keep them in your freezer for up to a month. I love doing that when I'm meal prepping. As a matter of fact, most of the time when I'm making meatballs, and this is the same meatball recipe that I've used in so many of my dishes, I'll link those up above, as many as I can, but this is very soft and juicy and just perfect, and I love to have them in my freezer for those days when I'm in a hurry and I don't have time to really cook, or when I don't have time to do lots of prep work. So in my food processor, I like to do this all in the food processor. I'm going to begin by grating the garlic. I like to take care of the garlic first because I don't like chunks of garlic in meatballs. I don't think anybody does. So I do that so that way when everything else processes, it'll just, melt into little teeny tiny pieces. Now I'm going to put lots of fresh parsley. Now you can use any of your favorite herbs. You could do a combination of parsley and even some mint. Throw some mint in here. We're just going to pulse this until it's finely chopped. That's good. Now we're going to cut up the onion. So we only need half of this onion. Half is going to go into the meatballs and the other half is going to go into the tomato sauce because this is a big giant onion. Just going to save this part for the sauce. So I'm just going to chop this up into little pieces so it makes the processor's job much easier. And everything is chopped up evenly. And we're going to pulse it until it's finely chopped. So this is what it should look like when it's done. It should not be melted. It should just be into small, tiny pieces. So now I'm going to add this mixture to my beef. And now I'm just going to beat the egg with the milk, just so that way it's all combined and it just makes mixing much easier. I'm going to put that in here. And really, I'm just going to put all the rest of the ingredients in all together. Now, I like to use Panko breadcrumbs. It's what I have on hand all the time. If you don't have them, you can use any breadcrumbs you have. You could even use some stale bread, leftover bread from the day before, and just finally grind that in the food processor and just use that. And I'm just going to keep mixing this until everything comes all together and all of the ingredients are incorporated throughout the beef. So the only thing that I forgot is some freshly ground black pepper, and I'll go ahead and add that right now. So the breadcrumbs are the ingredient that you really want to make sure that you do not leave out because that's what's going to keep these nice and soft. They're going to bake for a long time in the oven, and if you leave them out and try to make them more like burger style, then you're going to have really hard patties of beef on your hand that are not going to be easy to eat. So don't leave them out. For any of those who are gluten-free and know any good substitutes, please post them in the comment section down below because I've never really tried making this any other way. So now I'm just going to mix this up with my hands. Who am I trying to fool trying to use a spatula? Okay, so now I'm just going to form these. So you can do this any way you like. You can form little golf-sized meatballs like Beeftekia. Let me show you just like this. Depends on who you're serving. Sometimes kids like it like that. But traditionally, my mom used to make little like football-shaped patties. So take almost double the amount and just form them into this shape right here. I'm gonna do this shape. You can do whatever you like. My patties are formed. Now, while I was forming them, I thought about it, and I realized that my mom also, once in a while, whenever she makes keftedes, she does put mashed potatoes in them. Or I think she's done grated potatoes too. So maybe that would be a good substitute for the breadcrumbs if you want to keep this gluten-free. Just put some mashed potatoes in here. I've never tried it personally, but let me know if you have in the comment section down below. I'm going to clean this area up, and now we're going to move on to making the sauce. Okay, so now we're going to move on to making the sauce. This is a very simple sauce. You've seen me make it over and over again. Let's go over the ingredients. So we're going to need some olive oil, half of a large onion or a small onion, a whole small onion, a little bit of sugar, some pureed canned tomatoes, crushed red pepper flakes, salt, a bay leaf, a clove of garlic, some dried oregano, a little bit of cinnamon, and black pepper. So this is my basic go-to tomato sauce for almost everything that I roast. I'm just gonna finely chop the onion and add it to my saucepan with a little bit of olive oil, and I'm gonna cook it down until it's very nice and soft. Once the onions are nice and soft, we're gonna add the grated garlic in here, and I always like to grate in my microplane. And grated garlic can burn really quickly, so once it just warms through and it hits the oil, you're going to want to put the rest of the ingredients in so it doesn't burn. And so we're going to add our pureed tomatoes, a bay leaf, a little bit of salt, a little bit of cinnamon because cinnamon and tomato sauce just go so nice together, a pinch of crushed red pepper flakes, and that's optional, a little bit of dried oregano, and some freshly ground black pepper. Just gonna give this a nice mix, and then I'm gonna let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes or until it thickens, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's ready. The sauce is gonna thicken after about 10 minutes, but it'll thicken even more once it's in the oven, so you don't wanna get it down more than this. Now at this point you want to go in and taste it and adjust the seasoning. Check if it needs more salt. If it's still a little bit acidic, you could add a pinch more sugar. But I'm going to set this aside because now we're going to get our potatoes seasoned. So I've cut my potatoes into wedges, and these are russet potatoes that are perfect for baking. And I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on them, just a little bit. And then I'm going to season with lots of salt, some black pepper, and a little bit of oregano. And I'm just gonna mix it all up. And I'm gonna add a little bit more salt so that way everything is nice and seasoned. And now we're just gonna put them in our baking tray. And then I'm gonna put half of the sauce over the potatoes. And now I'm gonna put the Beeftekia on top. And when they bake, the juices are going to drip down to the bottom and flavor the potatoes and the sauce even more. And I'm going to put the rest of the sauce on top of the Beeftekia. The oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to cover it with parchment paper and then with aluminum foil. Why, you ask? Because it's been brought to my attention that having aluminum foil touch food does many bad things for your health. So we're not even going to risk that. So we're going to cover it with foil, and we're going to bake this covered at 400 degrees for 40 minutes. Then I'm going to uncover it and let it bake for another 30 or 35 minutes or until the potatoes are nice and fork tender. And I'll show you what it looks like as soon as it comes out. The food is ready. It took exactly the amount of time I said. 40 minutes covered in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and then 30 to 35 minutes uncovered. You know when it's ready when you put the fork in the potato and the potato comes out easily and the potato is nice and tender. Now the longer it sits, the drier the sauce is going to get just because the potatoes are going to absorb it. But let me take it out. It's still piping hot so I can show you just how good this is. Put some of the sauce on the Beeftekia right there. And let me set this aside so that way I don't burn myself. Set it down right there. And now time to dig in. So the way I like to eat it, I like to mash the potato. This is how I did it when I was little, and I continue to do so. All you need with this is a nice side salad and maybe some toasted bread, and you are good to go. Just look at how soft this Beeftekia is. Just look at that. You could chop up some parsley and sprinkle it over the top. Be my guest, do it. It doesn't need it because there's going to be so much flavor in this. Let's go in and take a little taste. The potato is literally melted. That cinnamon in the tomato sauce is just in the background. Just adds the perfect amount of flavor. Let's see, the beeftekia should have cooled down a little bit. So good. Comfort food at its finest, you guys. Let me know what you think. Make this. The recipe is in the description box down below, as well as on the website with many, many more. www.dimitrasdishes.com is the website if you don't already know. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want to learn the lemony version of this by posting it in the comment section down below. You guys have to make this. You have to trust me on this one. The kids are going to love it. Everyone's going to love it. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I will see you all next time. Yes,